It's a big day. Closing arguments for the murder conspiracy trial for so-called doomsday mom Lorie Vallow Daybell set to happen this afternoon if all goes as planned. She is accused of planning the killing of her fourth husband, Charles Vallow, but she claims her brother shot and killed Charles out of self-defense.
And as we've been following, Vallow Daybell is representing herself in this case. She has decided not to mount a defense, and in doing so has not called any witnesses to the stand. The case is set to pick back up later today when Vallow Daybell is expected to rest her case.
So joining us this morning to talk about it, the next step in this trial, defense attorney Josh Kolsrud joining us to tell us all about what happened. What's the point of even having a trial if you're not going to call witnesses or anything to your defense?
Well, if there was a defense attorney that was representing Lorie Vallow and he chose not to present a defense or have Lorie Vallow testify, that would be malpractice. You know, they have to present something. Lorie Vallow made 75 promises during her opening statement saying the evidence will show this, the evidence will show that. And if she doesn't come back in her closing argument to say these are the promises that I made, these are the promises that I kept, the jury is going to have a very, very quick verdict against her.
Now, it's just, you know, we have to play devil's advocate here because she does have a right to a fair trial. Do you think it's hard for some of these people in the courtroom to kind of listen to these stories that she's given and not calling any defense? What do you think is going through their minds as they're listening to all this? Yeah,
so I mean, every defendant has the absolute right to either present a defense or not to present a defense. And, you know, the jury will be instructed that they cannot hold it against Lorie Vallow, that if she doesn't take the stand, if she doesn't present evidence, you can't hold that against her. However, human nature makes it seem like, well, they do expect something, especially when you've made all these promises during your opening argument. So I do expect that any reasonable juror will want to hear from Lorie Vallow. They'll want to hear what her side of the story is. And especially in a case like this, where, you know, her argument really needs to be that this was a conspiracy. That's the only issue here. Did I make an agreement with my brother Alex? She needs to put everything on him, like he was the evil one. I didn't know what he was going to do. But how are you going to do that if you don't take the witness stand?
It's interesting.
So if she is found not guilty, there's no way she can get out of prison because we already know she's serving 3 life sentences out of Idaho. But even if that were to be appealed, there's no way she can get out, right?
That's correct. So the reason why this verdict is important and that there is a lot on the line is that for some reason, if the Idaho verdict gets overturned on appeal, she's not going to be let free because she'll be sent down to the Arizona Department of Corrections where she'd have to serve the life sentence that she'll most likely get in this case.
Do you know if there's been any talk of a possible appeal in Idaho?
Oh, there definitely is an appeal, and that just goes without saying. So in any capital murder case, so actually that was just a first-degree murder case, there is always going to be an appeal, and then once that either is overturned or sustained, it'll then go to the Supreme Court of Idaho, and that takes many, many years to go through the entire process.
So this trial ended up being a lot shorter than they were saying 6 weeks.
6 weeks, yeah.
What I don't know if you've watched every minute because you have a job to do too, obviously. But what have you heard or what did you hear was the most gotcha moment for the prosecution?
Well, there were a few moments like that. Number one was the testimony of the police officers and the paramedics on scene. Number one, the testimony from the Chandler Police Department that when Lorie Vallow arrived 45 minutes after they called 911, she didn't seem concerned at all that she was just a witness to a murder. In fact, she seemed very calm and collected, very much like her brother Alex when he called 911. He didn't seem very concerned about what just happened. Also, the forensic evidence that shows that the second bullet that went through Charles's stomach happened when he was lying on his back on the floor, meaning that this could not be self-defense if that's true.
Wow. I mean, it really has captivated the nation for so long, and to see it all kind of play out right here in our own backyard is quite interesting. So we'll have to see what happens later today.
Yeah. Thank you, Josh. Always great talking to you about this stuff.